Good afternoon, friends. This is Professor Sohil Shah. I'm here to solve all your queries regarding how to solve your OCM and SP paper for your board exams. I've come across a lot of queries from a lot of students regarding how many questions to attempt, what is the content to be written, how you need to present your paper. So all those queries will sort it out one by one. Now, starting from the question number one. So question number one is your objective type question, which is for 20 marks. You'll have 4 sub questions, question number 1A, B, C and D. Now I have 2 papers to help you to understand. Both the methods are quite correct if you are wanting to attempt your objective questions. So here I have one paper where a student has mentioned question number 1A and is given all the 4 or 5 MCQs that have been asked. In the same page, he's also written B part, which is the match the column. So if you are attempting this ways, it's fine. It's not necessary that you go with question number 1A on one page like how this student has done. I'm not saying that this is wrong, but you can do this way, this as well as with this paper. Because if it is a part of the same question, the sub questions can be continued in the same page. So question number 1A, B, C and D. It's all continued on the same page. I mean on the in the same pattern. Coming to this paper, this student has written it in question number 1A on one page, B on the other page, C on the third page and the D on the fourth page. So if you want to save your time, you can go with the continuation. You can go as with this method as well, which is on one question, one page. Now, when you are writing your objective questions, you need to underline your answers with a pencil. My one sincere request to every student would be to use pencil whenever they are wanting to draw any vertical as well as horizontal lines. Avoid using pens for underlining. So this kid has done the same thing. She's underlined or he's underlined the answers with a pencil. Same with the true or false or with one word. One thing I would want to tell you guys is with this student, what this person has done is the kid has directly mentioned the answer for the match the column. Here I would advise you to go with this format of drawing a box. This is much better way to present a match the column compared to this method. I'm not saying that this is wrong, but this is much better to attempt. So once you are done with your question number 1, which is about objectives, we start with a fresh page. We go on to question number 2A. Now question number 2A is about explain the concepts, which is for 2 marks. You will be getting 6 options. You need to attempt any 4 out of that. So now when you're attempting those questions, what I want you to do is you take up any question, whichever you feel is easy, okay, or whichever you know thoroughly. Now, when you see this banking, now what this student has done brilliantly is this answer or this concept has been explained in point format. So any explain the concept, I would wish every student writes at least 2 to 3 points. I am not wanting you to write the head points, but I want you to write it or explain the concept in paragraphs. So if you have given 2 or 3 paragraphs, the moderator would be quite impressed and you may score 2 marks out of 2. So you will have to attempt 4 out of 6. Next, we will have question number 2B part, which is about this case study. Now, there would be a very simple case which would be given in the question paper. Will be asked 3 questions, 1 mark each. Maximum queries have been for this question wherein, sir, we need to write the question for the case study, or you have to mention the whole case, then answer the questions. I would say you don't have to write the whole case. You directly start with the answer. Now, many times the answer is just in one word, but you can't write the answer in one word. You have to mention the whole sentence. Say, for example, there was this question. So with this one case which has been mentioned, see, the student has written the answer directly. The redressal machinery that will protect Mrs. Meena would be would be with the district commission. So you just mention the answer directly. Do not write the answer in one word, but you'll have to frame the whole sentence. Sometimes, if possible, do mention about certain explanation that can support your answer, but what they are going to focus mostly is on the answer, but that too would be in one sentence. Okay, so you will be getting three case studies. You will have to explain, you'll have to answer any 2. Each case will have 3 answers to be answered. That would be 1 mark each. Total is 6 marks. Now going on to question number 3, which would be distinguish. You'll have to attempt any 3 out of 4. Now, as you guys all know, the distinguishers are asked from either chapter number 2, chapter number 4, chapter number 5 or chapter number 7. Wherein there is only one distinguish in chapter number 7, which I feel is the compulsory question which is asked in the board exam, which is between District Commission, State Commission and National Commission. So if you check your textbook, there are around 7 or 8 points. I would wish that each and every child writes all the 7 or 8 points mentioned in the textbook. Apart from that, there is one distinguish which is compulsorily going to be asked from chapter number 4. Then maybe they will ask from chapter number 2 as well, and then either chapter number 5. Now, whenever you are writing distinguish, make sure that you give at least 6 or 7 points. They would be expecting you to write at least 6 or 7 points. Now, there are 2 ways again where there are students who write the distinguish. Either it is, if you can see this way, and there is one which is this method. Now in this, the head points have been written in a separate column. I'm not saying this is wrong. This is right. You can mention your distinguish, or you can present a distinguish in this manner, but with the space constraints, you lose out on a lot of space. So what we can do is we can use this method as well, which is you write the head points in the center, explain the point, come to point number 2, explain the point, third, and accordingly you go on explaining around 6 to 7 points. You can have an 8 point as well, just which can add to your safety if you go somewhere wrong in any of the explanation, but the board moderators would expect you to write at least 6 or 7 points. Okay, now always draw those lines to have a proper distinguish. Many kids do not draw those lines to make those distinguish look like a distinguish. They just directly go and mentioning the points and they explain it. You lose marks for your presentation here. Irrespective whether your answer is correct, your distinguish is correct, you do lose marks. So you will have to attempt 3 distinguish out of 4. I have told you about those chapters where only distinguish from chapter 2, chapter number 4, chapter number 5 and chapter number 7. They are going to ask you distinguish. Next we have question number 4, which is about short notes. So here short notes are for 4 marks each, where you will be supposed to write 2 short notes out of 3. Now I'll tell you one thing guys, be it short notes, be it your brief answers or be it the long answer, each and every answer will have to start with either an introduction or a meaning, which consists of around 2 to 3 points, which is there in every answer in your textbook. So introduce the moderator to that introductory part, or you can name it as meaning, as an header, explain 2 to 3 sentences for the short notes, and then you attempt the answer. Now for your 4 mark short notes, you would be expected to write at least 6 again or 7 points. Okay, there are specific certain questions which have 6 points or 7 points, and they are those most likely questions which can be asked in the exam. I can give you a couple of examples here. Like there is this one question in your textbook which is say about the different types of warehouses. So there are 7 warehouses which are mentioned in your textbook. So this is one likely question which can be asked in your exam. Or if you come to chapter number 1, we have the nature and importance of principles of management. They have exactly 6 or 7 points there as well. So these are the most likely questions which can be asked in your exam for 4 marks. So there are 2 short notes that you need to attempt out of 3. Next, we move to the next set of questions, which is justify the given statement. Now for all my kids who have studied with me, I have given them a particular format. Now the problem with justification is there is no particular format or an explanation which has been given in the textbook. So you guys will have to attempt that question with your own knowledge and your own understanding. What can help you out is your presentation for the same answer. So I have this explanation or this format as mentioned by this kid, wherein he's mentioned about the statement, like whichever statement would be given in your question paper about cash can be withdrawn from an ATM at any given point of time. So this is the given statement in the question. He's mentioned it the same ways. Next, he's mentioned about justification. So justification about the above statement is as follows, and then he's gone on to explain around 5 to 6 points. Now these 5 to 6 points, or you can say reasons, are your own set of understanding that you have regarding the particular question. See here you can see there's this given statement, the justification and those points. One thing I would like you guys to understand, in the last point you can mention this as a conclusion point. So you can give an header stating this is conclusion. So therefore we can say that cash can be withdrawn from the ATM at any given point of time. So when you give around 5 or max to max 6 reasons to justify, you may get around 3.5 to 4 marks. Standard deductions may be applied to this justification question. Okay. Next, we have question number 6, which is about the brief answers. Now, brief answers, again, you have been given 2 brief answers to be attempted for 5 marks each. Here, as in how I explained you about short notes, you need to give the meaning or introduction. It would be quite helpful to even mention the definition. So there are all the chapters which contain definitions. Like when you go to chapter number 2, which is about the functions, each and every function has at least 2 definitions given by different or multiple definers. So if you have studied well, you would also be knowing about the definitions. Write those definition, at least one. I mean, not even at least one. You need to only have one definition apart from the meaning or introduction, and then you mention or then you explain the particular question. See, for example, in chapter number 7, we have one question which is about the different rights of consumers. So in your textbook, there are around 10 points or 10 different rights given to the consumers. So out of that, you would be expected to at least explain 7 or 8. There would be sometimes in your board exams, they would mention, right, explain any 6 rights to consumers. So if they say any 6, I would expect you to write at least 7. Because somewhere there can be a probability where one point or one explanation may go wrong, or maybe the explanation is not sufficient. You get that leverage of having that one extra point that you have written to act as your continued point, and you can score full marks. Last, we have the answer in long, which is only one question. Now, again, you guys would be knowing that your long answer can be asked from either chapter number 2 or 4 or chapter number 8, which is marketing. Most probably, there would be one question from chapter number 4 and either from chapter number 2 or 8. With your last answer for 8 marks, you have to write proper introduction, which would be around about 4 to 5 sentences. Definition becomes a must, the name of the definer as well as the definition. I hope everyone knows definition goes word to word. So you have to by heart the definition. And then if you can draw a proper flow chart about the same question, and then you explain. So flowchart gives you that additional impression to be created in the minds of the your moderator, who can maybe give you good marks for the same. So we have the student who has given this flowchart about the different rights of consumers. So if you have this flowchart, it adds impression in the minds of the moderators. It looks good for your explanation. Now, one common question with question number 7 about the long answer is how many points to be written. Here, you make sure that you write all the points. But there is an exception. Say, for example, there is a question about the functions of marketing, which has 13 points in the textbook. Again, I would not expect you to write all 13 points. You need to write at least 9 functions of marketing. And what you do is you just mention about the head points of the last 4, which, says like, all the points, but, the requirement is only 9 or 10 points. That is what you have explained. And the other 3 points you have just mentioned about the head points, and that's it. So this is how you complete your OCM paper worth 80 marks. I hope this can help you, improve your performance with your presentation. One last thing I would like to mention is, whenever possible, do underline your head points, be it your distinguished, be it your short notes, be it your long answers or your brief answers. Always underline those head points with a pencil. Again, it creates an impression. If you have mentioned about any material fact or a name or a proper noun, do even underline that. Like if you're writing the definitions, the name of the definer, kindly underline it. So these are all small tricks which can help you to again score better. If you have any kind of cuttings, unfortunately sometimes we do misspell or miswrite some things. Do not scratch it with a pen or something. Just put a simple pencil. Say you just have one cut. Okay, it's kind of easy, and it is clear for the moderator to understand that. Okay, and as far as SP goes, the paper pattern here is the same for SP as well. Apart from this, just one question, that is question number 6, about the letters. Like in OC, as we have the brief answers, which is any 2 out of 3. In SP, they have replaced that with the letters. So SP students, letters are there in your chapter number 6, chapter number 7 and chapter number 8. So here one letter would be asked from each of the chapter. Matlab, from chapter number 6, they will ask you one, that is correspondence with shareholders. With chapter number 7, correspondence with debenture holders. And chapter number 8, which is with the correspondence with the depositors. So one letter from each chapter. I am quite sure that you all have practiced your letters. So that's the same way you will have to draft your letters. Okay. You don't have any other option, like you can't replace any letters. Letters are quite easy. They're for 10 marks. Make sure that you have sufficient practice and you write those letters in the very which ways they have been mentioned in your textbook. The only modulations what you can do is with the name or the name of the company or maybe the telephone number or the CIN and all those facts. But the body with those blocks, they have to be as perfect as it can be when you compare it with the textbook. Okay, so I hope this small video can help you guys to perform better in your exams. I would wish you all the very best for your board exams. If you have any other queries, you can connect to me. I would be more than happy to help you out. Okay, thank you guys. Have a good day. Bye bye.